Hello folks and welcome. Linux Lite 6.6 Xfce desktop, Xfce. Today I'm going to talk about archiving and compression, in other words backing up files. And I'll talk about compression with passwords also. I'll walk you through the whole process of backing up your files in a simple way and also show you how you can password protect files and also possibly put them on USB sticks or thumb drives. I'm filming in 1920 by 1080, so you can adjust your YouTube player accordingly. This again is Linux Lite Xfce desktop. I'm filming in 1920 by 1080. I'm going to use Alt and F4 to close that. You are watching this on Linux for Seniors. This is just a watermark. Don't subscribe here. Look for this icon in a smaller way right next to my power off and my date and time. If you see that, you can click to subscribe to Linux for Seniors. Linux is for any age, but my channel's name is Linux for Seniors. I have over 260 videos currently. My last channel had a lot more than that. But more importantly, if you want to subscribe to Linux for Seniors, look for that icon to click on. And don't forget, if you become a new subscriber, check out the community tab and the About section for some further tips. If you do not see this icon here in the corner, then look me up on YouTube, Linux for Seniors. I'm going to open up the file manager for Linux Lite, which is Thunar. Thunar, the file manager, contains tools that a lot of people are not aware of. So I'm going to talk about the user for today is called Lite1. This could be Bob or Mary or whoever. Today I'm going to talk about backing up stuff, whether it's backing up stuff in your own computer or USB sticks or other devices such as external hard drives or internal hard drives. You know, we've all had or possibly had this problem where we delete files by accident. Wouldn't it be nice to have a copy of something before that accident happens? Well, there's lots of tools you can download for backup purposes. But I'm going to show you something that's built right into your file manager, that you can do this yourself. So I'm going to first talk about archiving or tape archive or TAR. And then I'll talk about compression and compression with passwords. All right, so I have a bunch of stuff in here. So I have a couple of documents and some pictures and etc. So what I'm going to do is select, and I'm just going to draw a box around these 4 folders because that's all I wanted. I didn't want anything else to go with this. The backup stuff, there's nothing in there. Actually, I think it's blank. Yeah, it is blank. So again, I'm just going to select these 4. Then I'm going to right click and create an archive. So there's a lot of stuff that you may not be aware of that is compressed on the internet. If you watch Netflix, for instance, those movies are compressed, and when they are arriving on your device, I don't care if it's a mobile device like an iPhone, Android, or tablet, or computer, or even your home, your smart TVs. That movie usually arrives compressed, and then the unit uncompresses them. We're going to take and carry that concept a little bit on the Linux for Lite today. But the tool is a little bit misleading, so I'm going to do this again. I have 4 things selected, right click, and create an archive. And instead of compress, I am going to use TAR. So TAR is tape archive. So it's been around since the Unix days, and basically it's going to throw these 4 things in a container or a box, if you want to call it. This will be called a tar ball with some folks. I call it a tar box. It doesn't matter. It is a tar file. So I'm going to call mine my stuff. You can call it whatever you want. First, I need to highlight that thing. And I would probably suggest you use the current date. So today's date is 11/9. Okay, so I'll put 11/9/23. Because you can create many of these tar balls or tar boxes and save them on your USB sticks or internal or external hard drives. This is very fast. All right, so it just threw everything in the box that I selected. 4 folders, complete with subfolders. You can see the stuff in here. And threw it into a box really quick. And I'm going to toss this over here. In other words, save it for later. And you can create as many of these as you want. What would be a good purpose for this? Well, I am going to walk over to pictures, and our user for today is Lite 1. So Lite 1 made a mistake and deleted this by accident. And that would be one JPEG. And went over to the trash can and didn't notice that it was in the trash, and went like this and emptied everything in there, only to realize that that image is now toast. That was an image of maybe your grandchild, your pet, your friend, or something. Am I sunk? Not really. I have this nice backup tar file here. So I don't need to extract everything. I'm just going to go find the picture I'm missing, which is one JPEG, and pull it out and close that. Then I'm going to right click and cut it and put it back to where it belongs, which is in pictures. So this is just one example of using the feature called tar. Tar is not compressed though. So let me show you that example in downloads. So I have 2 folders and 3 files. And I have an empty USB stick, which I'm going to use to my benefit. So whether you use USB sticks or internal or external hard drives. And you can, of course, format that different ways. But I'm going to talk about first making a tar ball or tar box out of those 5 things here. Right click, create archive. Again, the word compress comes up. This does not compress when you do a tar. Tape archive. Tar. It's been around since the Unix days. Been around a long time, in other words. I'm going to click that and cut it and toss it over to that slow USB stick. It'll take a couple seconds to transfer. 78.1 megabytes it looks like. Let's see what happens when it gets done. And again, this is 78.1 megabytes, and let's see what the original is. It's 77.9, which is 78. Okay, so is this compressed? No, this is not compressed. As a matter of fact, it's slightly bigger by 0.1, right? Yeah. So that's just a tar. That's why it's so quick. I'm going to use the same set. Right click, archive. This time I'm going to use compression. So since I have all these objects selected, there's multiple files and folders here. The list may change when you're doing a single file versus multiples. So right now I have a listing of starting with the top with dot or period 7z, ending with dot or period zip. So zip files are very common. They're also very common on Microsoft Windows and Apple Macs. I'll leave that as just downloads. 1. I'll change the name and do the create. This is literally compressing, so however long it takes your system to compress whatever you selected. So I'm going to right click and do the cut and paste, because we're going to compare 3 of these in a second. So I'm waiting for the transfer to finish, and then I'm going to do the same thing with these 5 using something different. I'll go this time with the top 7Z, and I'll talk about some of these options in a minute. Okay, I just left it as downloads.7z. I could have renamed it. As a matter of fact, let me do that. Let me rename that, 2 or 3? Let's do 3. And then I'll cut it. You can always rename things later. I should have used 2 because 1 was called downloads 1, and then 3. All right, let's compare these things. So I have the tar is at 78.1 megabytes. The zip is at 46. Not quite half, but quite a reduction, in other words. And this one here. 43.8. So there's a lot of things on the internet that, again, are compressed. Like Netflix movies, for instance. They're compressed when it leaves their server. It's uncompressed when it arrives on your units, whether it's mobile devices, smart TVs, or computers. So we're doing the same concept here. We're just trying to squeeze information, except tar does not compress. But it's a nice, neat little container. Now, since I have this sitting on this USB stick, you can probably guess that you can eject that and stick it on a different computer. So let's assume we have two Linux computers and we want to share files, or possibly just use one or two of these pictures or documents. It doesn't matter if I use the tar file or the compressed files. Most Linux systems can uncompress these rather easily. So instead of extracting the whole thing, I just want the PDF. I can throw it on my desktop temporarily, and then I can cut it and put it in my other computer's file system. Okay, that's all that's used for. I didn't have to extract everything, in other words. The same thing with when I pointed to this earlier. Okay. All right, so we got three things here. Obviously the tar is not compressed, so it's going to be the biggest, 78 megabytes. This one is 46.7, sorry. And this one is 43.8. So this the 7Z is the smallest box out of the three. Now let's talk a little bit about privacy. So these tools that are built into your file manager are not industrial tools. They're made for home use. But if you wanted a little bit of privacy, I don't care if you put that file on your USB stick or somewhere on your internal drive. Let's say you got some files or folders that you don't want certain members of your household to look at. Maybe they're private. Maybe they keep the kids away from these things. I don't know. Whatever purpose you want to use this for. I am going to select all 5 of these again and right click and do a create archive. I'm going to use 7Z with options of a password. So you create a password that maybe the kids can't guess. How's that? We'll just leave it at that. Since I selected more than one file, it's got folders in here, I'm going to encrypt the file list also. I could also split this in volumes, and I'm only going to talk about this once. I don't really use this feature anymore. Most thumb drives are big enough nowadays, so you don't need to split files up. But you can think about this for other purposes. What did we use for a number? I forget. Let's talk about maybe 4. All right, so I have this password protected with an encrypt file list also. So I'm going to do a create. It throws everything in the box and it puts a password on it. So when it gets done, I'm going to toss that on the stick. I could also transfer that onto my local hard drive or external hard drive, whichever. Put it wherever you want. All right, and you can use this for any kind of purposes. Privacy information, right? A little bit of privacy. Is it industrial strength? No, but it is something built into your file manager, Thunar. Let's take a peek. Oh, it's requesting a password. Doesn't show me what's in the box. So I'm going to use a bad password to try to get around all this. And it comes up with an error. I have a blank box. I don't know what's in downloads for. I have no idea what's in there. You know what's in there, and I know what's in there, but most of the new users may not know what's in there. So this again is for privacy reasons. Now I'm going to put in the correct password, and once you've got this unlocked, you can see the file list, and you can start pulling out or extracting. Now if I decided to put this on an external device, a USB stick or USB hard drive, then of course I can transfer these files also on the local other machine, whether I do it inside the USB stick or outside. It doesn't matter. As soon as I close, I'm just dragging to highlight. As soon as I close this though, where is it sitting here? I'm going to close it and reopen that. It's going to request a password. But once the password is entered and you leave the box open, then you can pull the files out of there. Either extract all of them or 1 or 2. I can even go into the subfolders. I'll pull out box 10 and throw it on my desktop. You get the idea? All right. All right. Let me do another way. Let's go back up 1, use the same set. right click, create an archive. And now I'm going to switch this up and I'm going to go to the bottom using zip. Zip does offer you a password, but not encryption of the file list. So again, think of a good decent password if you're going to do this. I don't remember what number I was in. I'll just use 9. All right, so downloads 9 is in zip format. And I'm going to cut that one and toss it over here. And so this container here is the same. All these containers have the same files. This one you can view. So I will show you, there's another zip in here, this one. So as I pulled out a text in here, you can see there's text in it. Okay, close and delete. And this one, by all pretenses, looks the same, right? Except when you pull it out, it's requesting a password. If you decided to extract all, you get the same box. So what if you don't put in the correct password? You get an error here, but you can see the file name. I'll do the same with the PDF. You can already see the icon is different. I'm going to close that, and then I'm going to try to open this. There's no information in here. It's blank. But you can see the name of the file. The PDF is also blank. It opened in a text editor even, because it's blank. Let's do this properly. Once you pull it out, either on the stick or on your other machine or the local machine, it doesn't really matter. You need to give it the proper password to have it properly extracted out of there. Once you put in the password once, providing you don't close the box, you can pull as many files as you want out of here, or do the whole folder if you like. This now has information. I'll resize that on the fly. So you can see that's a manual for a camera. And that's just a text file. So the whole exercise that I'm trying to do is, this is for privacy purposes. Is it industrial grade? Oh no. But more importantly, it's plenty good for home use. Let's put it that way. Okay. So again, you may have no use for this, but I thought I'd throw that into the mix. So tar is the easiest way to, well, create a box with all your files in it and throw that single box somewhere, either on your local drive or internal or external hard drives or devices, such as USB sticks or thumb drives. Creating tar files is a piece of cake. All right, now I'm going to show you something different that you may have observed earlier. If I did the 5 and do the create archive, I'm going to show you the full list, starting at the top with .7z ending with .zip. Okay, I'm just showing you the list, but I'm going to hit cancel and select only one file, and then right click and do the same, create archive, and do the same list. You will see this list is longer now. There's stuff in here that wasn't there before. ZST is one of them. So let's take a peek at this again. You see ZST in here. If I select these, you don't see ZST in here. It ends with zip. All right, so what I'm getting at is not all the archiving or compression is the same. Sometimes these lists will change. And more importantly, when you are creating archives, some of these things that are compressed, I'm not talking about tar, tape archive is not compressed, but the 7Z is, and so is the zip, and some of these other formats, they compress differently. Some of them have passwords, some of them not so much. Now WAR has one that does have passwords on that, but not encrypting the file list. All right, versus, let's find another one. Let's try LZO. See, I can't click the password in here. That's what I'm getting at. Okay, so there's lots of different ways to think about this. You'll also, when you select certain file types, you'll also get errors if you're trying to perform a certain compression. And then you just pick a different one. Let's put it that way. I think that's the best explanation for you. But there are different options is what I'm getting at. But if you don't want to use compression, then of course you can always just use plain old tar to create an archive. Plain old tape archive, and it is very quick. Now you have all your files in one container. And again, this is not very big, but this could be huge. So you can save these kind of files in the backup folder. So in this case, I can take this file here and cut it and transfer that over to this backup stuff. And now I have a bunch of different tar files. This one, you remember I had 4 folders in it. This one has the 2 and 3 items. So you can create as many of these tar files. I do recommend that you label them with dates on them. So in case you are doing the old maintenance in here and you erase a document by accident, but you made a tar earlier, at least you can go back and retrieve it by dates, because you could have a bunch of these. Some people don't have a lot of hard drive space, so you may want to transfer those onto USB sticks or USB hard drives for backup purposes. So tar files can be useful, but they can be used this way. I know they're not compressed, but they're squeezed into one container, one folder, one file. And they're easily, you can pull out one item or extract them all. There's lots of different ways to think about this. But more importantly, these tools are built into Thunar, your file manager. So there you have it. Whether you just want to download a different backup program, you can certainly do that. And I believe there's one even built in here. It creates 7 subfolders or subfiles when you do your full backups. But if you would just want to make quick backups yourself, I don't care how many folders, I'll just drag all of these 5 here. You can create the archive in a couple of seconds. I'll just use the name Lite 1. It's done. And then I can save that somewhere else. Again, I recommend renaming that with a date on it. So lots of ways to think about this. Alt and F4, and I'll do Alt and F4 on that one also. Alt and F4 just closes things. But anyways, folks, hopefully you have subscribed to Linux for Seniors, and I'll say thank you for watching.